Okay, this chapter here is a bit of an extra one. However, I'm sure that some of you guys might like the idea of traveling with your pets, or maybe even do like us and get a new friend along the road. When the douche and I were traveling through Sicily, we adopted a beautiful puppy from a rescue shelter in a town called Augusta. Chopper has been traveling and living with us since then, which is more than a year ago. She has grown up with us and she has become our loyal companion and a forever member of the weird, cruel pirates that we are. I'm gonna be honest with you. She's extremely cute. True, but she's also a real nightmare and a pain in the ass sometimes. She's a very nervous and scared dog, and when we walk around, she constantly pulls on the leash to try to escape from people and acts really like an idiot. She also pissed me off more than a couple of times for biting cables and shoes or clothes and destroying them completely. We had no experience in training dogs and living with an animal. We had to learn the hard way. This is why I think it's definitely worth it to spend some time to talk about how to travel around the world in a van with a dog or any other pet. The first thing that I would point out is that the more you have control over your animal, the easier your life is going to be, right? Something that is true whatever context you live in. In a van is even more important. The space inside is limited, and you have to make sure that your pet does not have access to anything that they can ruin or break or that might even hurt them. You might want to have a space dedicated to your dog, where you can also chain them if needed and where they can, feel comfortable at the same time. In our case, for now, Chopper sleeps at the end of the bed, where we can chain her to avoid her moving around the van when we are not really there and potentially cause some damage. Of course, this, as many other pieces of advice I am gonna give you here, depends on your own dog and how they behave in the first place. I also want to specify something before moving on, okay? The information in this class is mainly based on dogs specifically. If you travel with another animal, the basic needs and requirements might be different. From what I can see online though, the system is almost the same for cats, but I cannot be sure since I've never had to deal with the case myself. Which means that if you are traveling with a different animal than a dog, then guys, you should do some more research on your own, okay? Now, when it comes to daily life needs, I don't really see many differences in van life from a standard lifestyle. In all the other countries we travel to, which is mainly Western Europe to be fair, you can find pet shops and even supermarkets selling all you might need for your animals. From foods to toys to, whatever they want to play with. One thing that instead changes from country to country, even inside the European Union itself, is how much dog-friendly public places are. For example, in Italy you can enter virtually anywhere with your dog, even in shops, restaurants, shopping centers. In Ireland, it's not like this. Only a few pubs allow you to take your dog inside with you, and I don't remember finding any other kinds of shops or public buildings where that's even a possibility. Also, even in some parks, there are often signs that ask you to keep your dog on the leash at all times. As you can see, every country works differently, and it's up to you to research and figure out how it's gonna be like where you're going. And you better do some research because the law about entering a country with an animal is quite strict, and you need to follow all the requirements or you won't be allowed to take your pet on the other side of the border. This is something that honestly we haven't considered at all when we adopted Chopper, and it really became a huge source of stress later on. Honestly, it's probably the most stressful part of traveling with a dog. And I'm talking about all the bureaucracy and all the documentation needed to certify the dog's health, condition, and identity. Now, let me explain better with an example. When we decided to travel to Ireland to settle there for some time and work, we discovered that a dog needs to have a pet passport to be able to enter a foreign country. Since we weren't prepared at all for this, we had to delay our travels and take care of all that we needed to take Chopper with us on our journey. In the case of the European Union, you can get an European pet passport, which will allow your dog to enter without extra treatment or certificates in almost all the countries in the area. To get the passport, what you mainly need is a microchip, a certificate of property with all the complete information about the animal, and also the anti-rabies vaccine, very important. But the most important thing is to keep in mind here that the vaccine takes 21 days to generate the anticorps that protect the animal, which means that you have to wait 21 days after your dog has been vaccinated to be able to get the passport. Now, I am not sure that the procedure is the same in every single country. I did this back in the day in Italy, and this is how it worked there. Now, even if you have the European pet passport, it's advisable to still check the requirements needed to enter a foreign country with an animal because, as I said before, the law is different really for every single place. To enter the UK, for example, the European pet passport is accepted as a document, yes, but the dog still needs to be treated against tapeworm before crossing the border. But it's not that simple if you're traveling outside of the European Union or outside the UK. You might have to get an international veterinary certificate, which is a document that proves that your animal's health condition fits all the requirements to enter the foreign country in specific. We recently had to get one to travel with Chopper to Brazil. I think the form differs from country to country according to the local regulations, which basically brings me to suggest you again to make sure that you check what are the requirements to enter a new country with your pet. And make sure to research all these beforehand, okay? Because in some cases, it might take some time to have access to all the documentation needed and to keep going on your journey. As you can see, anyways, it's not impossible to travel with a dog. The bureaucracy is annoying as fuck and slow sometimes, but we always manage to get through it eventually. Also, the costs are very low, but I suppose that they might change also from country to country, so keep that in mind. And I'll see you in the next video.